Okay. When it comes to contract, two things involved in contracts. One is the thing everyone hates. Reading. Reading is involved in contracts. You have to take the time to read. Second thing with contracts, you have to know the legal definition of words. Right? You got to understand what's being said. Remember, English is the devil's language. You can say one thing and mean another. So you need to know the definition of those words being used. One word, for instance, would be black. Whenever it comes to court or law or dealing with any type of issues, this word means death in the English language. I can't emphasize this enough. In the English language, black means death, according to law. This is the time we're in. This is the language we're using to communicate. We have to understand this. So yes, amongst ourselves, black is cool, but we gotta know when and where and what time it is. When we're dealing with Europeans and Romans, it's not time to play that black card. It is absolutely not. Because black people do not have no history. You gotta keep it simple. So contracts is all about reading, knowing the legal definitions, like black. I didn't mean to put this here. Right? Knowing the legal definitions, and I'd say the most important part, your signature or your autograph. For those who know what I just wrote. What this implies legally. A signature can be two things. It can be handwritten, like I just wrote, or it can be computer generated. So I don't like signatures. The signatures, it's kind of like the same thing with a person. If you don't know what a person is, according to law, I'm just making sure it's catching this. Person, according to law, is a human. I'm just putting it in simple format, or a corporation. If people pay attention to the word corporation, right at the first you see corp, right? Like a corpse. Corpse, corporation, corpse. You're talking about a dead body. Something that holds no light. If you're melanated, of course you hold light. So if you don't hold light, you're a corporation, or you're dead, or you're a person, which is what the legal term is. Oh, this person, that person. Had three persons. You don't know what they're talking about. Are you talking about human beings, or are you talking about corporations? You gotta know what to listen for. That's also involved in contract law. Signature. Nothing has authority unless a human being puts authority into it. Example. When people get pulled over by highway pirates or cops, right? They're trying to give you a ticket, or they're trying to initiate a commercial transaction with you. They're trying to get you to admit to committing something that wasn't committed, which is a crime, because you didn't hurt nobody, and you know what I'm saying, nobody's property was damaged. A pirate just pulled you over. Fine. Whatever. The crazy part is, no matter what they do, the ticket that they're attempting to give you, they cannot give it to you unless you put your signature on it. Right? They need your signature. And that goes for everything. Everything and anything we do in this society needs our signature. Right? Because our signature gives things authority. Right? It can't go through unless your signature is on there. That's another big thing with contracts. People don't understand the power of their signature. If you break down the word signature, you'll see SIG, right, which is short for sigil, okay, or sign of the nature. So when a person puts their, well, you ain't gonna see it there. When a person puts like their signature and shit on something, they're leaving their sign, they're leaving their imprint. Hey, there's life here and it's giving authority. All right? If you take it to the Bible, it's like God giving authority to do something. And God itself is a light being. God is light. Let me rephrase that. God is the absence of light. And God is light. Life and death. Which is what the English language is. Life and death. If you know that it is a life and death language. If you don't, you're going to say black everywhere, even in the courtroom, black person this. You're going to file job applications, black person that. You're going to do your taxes, black this, and not understand that human beings are not obligated to pay taxes without representation. What happened to taxation without representation? I'm just saying. An autograph comes from a human being. Only human beings give autographs. A king, a queen, a god or a goddess maintains autographs. So this is what you got to understand when it comes to contract law. The terminology, the definitions of words. Words don't mean the same. They don't. They don't mean the same in the English language, especially when it comes to law. All right? They love to play the word games and give people fucking headaches, and then get people tricked into contracts, which everything is a contract. You even get a call from a third-party debt collection agency, right? You get a call from a third party. They're saying that they're coming to collect on behalf of whatever company. Let's just say JCPenney. They're calling on behalf of JCPenney. First question. If they're calling on behalf of JCPenney, why didn't JCPenney just call me directly? Why they gotta go through a third party to get to me? When I know the contract, right? The contract was between me and JCPenney. This third party had no place in the contract. So how is it that an entity that wasn't there in the beginning of a contract all of a sudden now can appear after the contract has been established? Two ways. One, they didn't give you full disclosure. I'm talking about JCPenney's. The agents of JCPenney didn't give you full disclosure. They didn't tell you everything about the contract. Or two, you just didn't fucking read the contract. It's that simple. So when it comes to third parties, boop, hey, I'm calling on behalf of... Okay, can I see or of course if they're going to call you on the phone, you request them to mail you the original promissory note, which would be the legal term for contract. Because what people don't know is when it comes to contracts or paying things, everything is a promise to pay. Promise to pay this, a promise to pay that. Why is everything a promise to pay? Because in 1933, the gold was taken. If you know anything about money, all right, so you got to keep things on a nature perspective. So when it comes down to nature, the only value that we would really be considered money according to nature would be precious metals like gold, silver, crystals, copper, different type of precious metals, emeralds, gems, rubies, amethyst. All these things would be considered money. Or just, you know, simple shit. Like, hey, I grow carrots, you have apples, I trade you. That's money. That person needs carrots, that other person needs apple. That's an equal exchange. Alright? So, you ask them for the original promissory note, which is the promise to pay. That's what the contract is. Hey, I'm going to lease this car, and I promise to pay $400 a month, plus interest. It's all a promise. So you're promising your energy away, and you're not reading the very thing that you're promising your energy to. This is why the Bible says, my people suffer for lack of knowledge. That's all it is. That is all it is, guys. Just knowledge. Just knowledge, man. Seek the knowledge and you'll find your heaven. You will. Trust me. My people suffer for a lack of knowledge, man. That sticks hard with me. My people suffer for a lack of knowledge because we just don't know. Just don't know. You asked for the original promissory note with wet ink. Wet ink signature. Why ask for a wet ink signature? Because a wet ink signature would relay that a human, another human signed it. Because most contracts we sign are unilateral. You write that down. Unilateral. Meaning you sign a contract with yourself. For instance, one-sided contract. A good example of that would be the, erase this here. One example of that would be the famous W-4 form. Alright? Which is called the employee voluntary. That's the most important part of that whole shebang. Withholding. Voluntary. It's voluntary. Who's volunteering? The employee is voluntary. They're withholding. So what happens if the employee no longer wants to volunteer? Then it should stop. No more federal tax. Because if it's voluntary and you choose not to volunteer, the only way you could volunteer is if you're not originally obligated to do it in the first place. That's why they make something voluntary. Here, you can volunteer. That means if it's voluntary, it means you didn't have to fuck with it in the first place. You didn't have to agree to it. You didn't have to do it. You didn't have to agree to this. You're not obligated. The W-4 is an example of a unilateral contract. There's no one else signing that form except for you. And of course me, whenever I do sign it. Alright? The only person who signs that form is you. Put your signature there. You don't reserve your rights. Oh, and for the love of God, my family, yo, real talk. When you sign contracts, put your name. This would be mine. Put your name with all rights reserved